Hi everyone, my name is Gloria, and I'm here to share a story about my wedding day and the revenge my parents and I took on my in-laws. I'm a 28-year-old woman who recently got married to the love of my life, Alec. Growing up, I always noticed how people treated my mother, Nora, differently when my father Felix was around. You see, my mother wasn't considered conventionally attractive, but my father was the epitome of handsome. However, my mother always told me that looks don't matter when it comes to the matters of the heart. I witnessed firsthand how my father looked at my mother with eyes filled with immense love. To him, she was the most beautiful person in the world. Meeting Alec was like a dream come true. Seeing how much my parents loved each other and how they treated each other made me wish for a relationship like theirs for as long as I could remember. The best part about Alec was that he had this incredible ability to make me laugh when he knew I had a crappy day. Alec's proposal was so special. He surprised me on a beach at sunset and asked me to marry him. I felt really happy and excited about our future together. I knew that my wish for a love story like my parents had come true. I hadn't met Alec's parents in person since they lived far away. We talked on the phone and texted, but that was all. Alec didn't want to meet them because he didn't like the way they acted. He said they were snobby and judgmental. Baby, I've been thinking. Why have you never wanted to introduce me to your parents? It makes me feel insecure sometimes, like you're hiding something.
Oh, darling, it's not that I don't want you to meet them. I promise it's not about hiding anything. It's just that I know how they can be, and I don't want them to say something hurtful to you. I never want to see you hurt in any way.
Really? But why would they say something hurtful? I don't understand.
My parents can be quite judgmental, especially when it comes to appearances. You know how much I love you, and I don't want their words to affect how you see yourself. You're beautiful to me, inside and out, and I don't want anything to tarnish that.
Oh, baby, I didn't realize you were trying to protect me. I appreciate that. It's just that sometimes my own insecurities get the best of me.
I know, my darling, but please know that their opinions will never matter. You mean the world to me, and I wouldn't change anything about you. I've seen how they can treat others, and I don't want them to hurt you.
Thanks, baby. I'm sorry for questioning your intentions. I trust you, and I know you have my best interest at heart.
Don't apologize, darling. I'm sorry that I've never cleared it up well before. You shouldn't have been insecure to begin with, but I'm glad you know now. I swear to you that I'll always protect you, especially from my mean parents.
My insecurities began to melt away, replaced by a renewed trust and a profound understanding of his love for me. However, when it came to wedding planning, Alec's parents, Anne and Ronnie, flew over to stay with us for a while. Little did I know that their visit would bring unexpected challenges. It was during the wedding planning that they finally met my parents. Unfortunately, my father was running late due to a business meeting, so my mother showed up first. She warmly greeted Alec's parents, and I suggested that she and I go to the kitchen to make everyone drinks. We chatted and laughed, unaware of the conversation happening in the living room. Suddenly, we overheard Anne and Ronnie's laughter. Ronnie made a cruel comment saying that even their cleaning lady looked better than my mother, Nora. I was shocked and appalled by their words, but when I looked into the room, I saw Alec sitting there, looking uncomfortable. Anne and Ronnie continued to make jokes at my mother's expense, and tears welled up in her eyes. Rage consumed me, and I was about to storm into the room when my father's arm held me back. I glanced up and saw his menacing smile. If there was one thing that could anger my usual jovial father, it was someone belittling his wife. Without a word, he walked into the room, and the atmosphere turned awkward. Alec greeted my father with a hug, and when Anne and Ronnie introduced themselves, my father introduced himself as Nora's husband. The shock on Anne and Ronnie's faces was priceless. As the meeting progressed, I couldn't help but feel proud of my father. Anne took it upon herself to ask my father how he met my mother, in an attempt to figure out how a man as handsome as my father ended up with someone they considered ugly.
So, Felix, how did you and Nora meet? I'm curious to know your love story. Well, Anne, we met back in high school. I always thought Nora was the prettiest girl, and after just one conversation, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. High school sweethearts, huh? How cute. And you still think she's the prettiest girl even after all these years? Absolutely. Beauty isn't just about appearances, it's about the love and connection you share with someone. Well, to each their own, I guess. It's just funny how different couples end up together. Ah, yes. Sometimes opposites attract, but other times, people who are alike find their way together. Just like how the two of you found your way to each other. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just that you guys seem perfectly aligned in your personalities. It's a good thing you found each other. Well, I suppose. After my father's subtle yet pointed remark about how Anne and Ronnie found each other due to their matching personalities, there was an awkward silence in the room. Anne and Ronnie looked slightly uncomfortable, as if they had been caught off guard by my father's response. Alec and I exchanged amused glances, trying to stifle our laughter. I could see the corners of my mother's mouth twitching, trying not to break into a smile. It was evident that my father's witty comeback had left Anne and Ronnie a bit flustered, unable to come up with a snarky reply. I felt a surge of pride for my father, who had cleverly put them in their place without resorting to rudeness. The atmosphere in the room shifted, and my parents' confidence seemed to have struck a chord. It was a satisfying moment, knowing that my parents were standing up for themselves, and I couldn't help but feel grateful for having such loving and strong role models in my life. I decided to try and steer the conversation in a different direction by talking about the wedding we had all gathered to plan. I mentioned my dream of having a bar at the wedding reception, and my father graciously offered to pay for it. Seeing my father contribute, Anne and Ronnie decided to cover a portion of the catering. I couldn't help but feel a little peeved, considering that Alec had previously asked them for help with the wedding, and they vehemently refused. Alec had warned me that they were the kind of people to believe they were superior to others, and worked only on the basis of what made them look good. But I let it go because I didn't want to cause any fights right before Alec and I got married. Once my parents left, Anne and Ronnie settled into their room. Alec and I had a heartfelt conversation about the day in our room. My darling, I'm so sorry about what happened earlier. My parents' behaviour was completely unacceptable. I feel terrible that your family had to witness that. No, baby, it's not your fault. You don't need to apologise for their actions. I know you were just as shocked and uncomfortable as I was. But still, I wish I had done something to defend your mother at that moment. I should have stood up for her. It's okay. You were taken by surprise, and it's not easy to confront your parents like that. I understand. I just hate that they treated your mother that way. It's not fair, and I love you both so much. I know, and I love you too. Alec's sincere apology and his acknowledgement of my mother's mistreatment filled me with a sense of comfort and understanding. At that moment, I knew we were a team, ready to face any challenge together. Alec also decided to call my mother, Nora, and offer a sincere apology for his parents' behaviour. Hey, Nora. Hi, Alec dear. Everything all right? Yeah. I just wanted to call and sincerely apologise for my parents' behaviour earlier. I'm so sorry they treated you that way. It was completely uncalled for, and I feel terrible about it. Thank you, dear. I appreciate your call and your apology. It was unexpected, and I didn't expect them to be so cruel. I should have done more to defend you at that moment. It's just that I was caught off guard, and I didn't know how to react. Oh, it's all right, dear. You don't have to be too sorry about it. I know it must have been difficult for you too. I've already accepted your apology, so no more sorries. Thank you, Nora. I promise I'll always stand up for you and Gloria from now on. You both mean the world to me. And you both mean the world to me too. Let's put this behind us, okay? But I have to admit, I now understand why you hadn't pushed it for us to meet sooner. We all shared a laugh, and my father joined the call. He asked Nora to put it on speakerphone and asked me how I felt about Alec's parents' remarks. I expressed my anger and frustration, admitted that I had wanted to confront them immediately. My father revealed his plan for revenge and asked Alec and me if we wanted to be a part of it.
Without hesitation, we wholeheartedly agreed. My father asked me to find out the dress code for the waitstaff of the catering service we planned to hire and inform only Anne and Ronnie about a specific dress code for everyone attending the wedding. I worried that this might make me seem like a bridezilla, but my father assured me that the opinions of those who thought making fun of my mother were appropriate didn't matter. He told me to tell Anne and Ronnie to wear the same outfits as the waitstaff. Alec and I laughed, knowing that this plan, though not elaborate, would certainly put them in their place. Fast forward to the wedding day, and it was everything we had dreamed of. The ceremony was beautiful, and the reception was in full swing. Guests were enjoying themselves, and the atmosphere was electric. As the evening progressed, Anne and Ronnie's plan to follow the waitstaff dress code backfired spectacularly. As they made their grand entrance, dressed in outfits almost identical to the waitstaff, guests at the wedding couldn't help but mistake them for actual waiters. People began asking them for help, requesting drinks, and even trying to place food orders. At first, Anne and Ronnie laughed it off, trying to brush off the embarrassing situation. But as more guests continued to approach them, their humiliation grew more apparent. They became visibly agitated, and their smiles turned into forced expressions of politeness. They tried to avoid eye contact with the other guests and sneak away to find a place to hide. As the wedding reception unfolded, there was another unexpected twist that added to Anne and Ronnie's humiliation. My father, Felix, known for his witty sense of humour, seized the opportunity to give them a taste of their own medicine. With a mischievous grin on his face, he approached Anne and Ronnie during the toasting moment. In front of everyone, my father raised his glass and proposed a toast. He thanked Anne and Ronnie for embracing the waitstaff dress code, remarking that their dedication to the theme was truly commendable. He playfully added that their commitment to blending in with the staff had truly fooled everyone, including himself for a moment. He also playfully asked Anne and Ronnie if they thought they looked prettier than my mother at that moment, before gracefully informing our guests of my in-laws' comments about my mother. Everyone looked shocked before the full understanding of my father's previous comments registered in their minds. The room then burst into laughter, and even Anne and Roddy couldn't help but crack a forced smile. My father's well-timed remark left no doubt that he saw through their attempt to save face, and he cleverly turned the tables on them. It was a subtle but powerful reminder that their hurtful comments about my mother had not gone unnoticed or unaddressed. With that, my father gracefully transitioned into a heartfelt speech about love, acceptance, and the beauty that resides in embracing one another's differences. His words resonated deeply with the guests, who applauded and cheered. Since they couldn't bear the embarrassment any longer and decided to complain out loud when it was time for them to make their toasts, they made a scene, loudly expressing their frustration about being mistaken for waitstaff and ridiculed in front of everyone. But this time, I wasn't going to let their behaviour slide. I had seen how hurt my mother was by their cruel comments, and I knew they needed to be taught a lesson. With a calm but firm demeanour, I reminded Anne and Ronnie of the hurtful remarks they made about my mother earlier. I pointed out how their actions now reflected the very behaviour they had criticised. I explained that mocking someone's appearance, especially my mother's, was hurtful and uncalled for. I demanded they apologise not only to me, but also to my mother for their hurtful words. Anne and Ronnie were taken aback by my response. They expected me to be embarrassed or apologetic, but I refused to back down. My mother had taught me the importance of standing up for what is right, and this was one of those moments where I need to do just that. They hesitated for a moment, but finally offered a half-hearted apology. As the reception continued, Anne and Ronnie's anger and humiliation were palpable. They tried to salvage the situation by acting as if they were unfazed, but their discomfort was evident. They became increasingly isolated as other guests noticed their behaviour and chose to distance themselves. Despite their unhappiness, the party continued in full swing. The energy in the room remained high as friends and family celebrated our love and union. My father, Felix, danced joyfully with my mother, Nora, showing everyone that their love was unbreakable and beautiful regardless of appearance. Their love had stood the test of time, and that was the essence of our wedding day.
Anne and Ronnie, however, couldn't handle the shame they brought upon themselves. Fuming with anger, they decided to leave the party prematurely, making an abrupt exit without saying their goodbyes. While their departure caused a momentary awkwardness, it soon faded away as their revelry resumed, and guests returned to enjoying the festivities. Throughout the night, Alec and I felt a mixture of emotions. We were disappointed in Anne and Ronnie's behaviour, but we were also proud of how we handled the situation and defended my mother's honour. We were grateful for the love and support showed by our friends and family, who stood by us through it all. As the night came to an end, Alec and I basked in the joy of our wedding day, surrounded by people who genuinely loved and respected us. The reception had been a testament to the power of love, acceptance, and forgiveness. It was a celebration of the bond my parents had built over the years, and a promising start to our journey as a married couple.